What did you do with your non-working shark problem? Did the shark's mechanical specialist have to rebuild the thing constantly?
Well, the first mistake with the shark was they made a big mistake and they built it for fresh water. Now, they all knew we were going to the Atlantic Ocean, but for some reason they built it for fresh water.
What's the difference?
Well, electrolysis is a major problem when you get salt into all the machinery, into the electrical system. And so they tested the shark for the first time in the water, and we had at least 20 boats of tourists who had gathered around an area to watch the shark work. And we had the shark on a huge 90-foot platform 30 feet underwater, and at the press of a hydraulic button and pulling a lever back, supposedly the shark comes shooting out of the water head first. And this has absolutely happened because David Brown and Dick Zanuck were there watching with me. The shark came up tail first. It just came up tail first, and it was like it was like a 25-foot moon. And all of the tourists out there essentially, you know, went back. I guess we read Peter Betterstein's book in hopes that the book would be more exciting than the movie. But that was the first test of the shark. It was a total disaster. We never fixed the shark, but in the cutting room, I was able to use so little of it and imply so much more that when you finally do see the shark, it's a little bit lethargic, and that's where the story demanded that I show more than just the dorsal fin. And that was the last few minutes of the movie.
Nobody suggested using a real trained shark or anything.
They did, as a matter of fact. They did suggest
Serious?
that. We, Dick Zanuck, who is an amazing guy, I think he's one of the best producers in the world today, and he had a great old Hollywood idea. He said, why don't we use a real shark, but when we shoot all the scenes with Richard Dreyfuss in the cage, we'll use a midget in the cage and build a half-size cage, so it'll make a 15-foot great white shark look like a 30-foot great white shark. So I said, well, why don't we try it? So Universal spent some money, and we actually went to Australia with a midget who told us that he knew how to scuba dive. As a matter of fact, I was interviewing midgets one day for this part. Absolutely a true story. And one of the small gentlemen came into my office covered in blood. He had cuts here, his arms were cut. And I said, what happened to you? He said, well, look, I really got to get this job, and I just racked up my car in front of the Universal Studio Tour gate, and I got into a traffic accident, but I had to come in and get the job. I didn't want to be late. It was 3 o'clock. He was going to be late. So we had the ambulance attendants come around to my office to take care of him. And I assumed anybody who was that brave to leave an accident to get a job, to go into the water with a real live shark, deserves the job. So we sent him to Australia with Ron and Valerie Taylor, who I'm sure you must have heard of.
Yeah? Oh, yes. You see them in film. You see her down among the sharks.
Blue Water, White Death.
Yeah.
Yeah, she plays with the sharks.
Yeah.
So, it's like a Joan Emery of underwater, that sort of thing.
You realize how many bleeding midgets are going to audition for you now?
Well, the thing of it was, he was drinking coffee one day after 2 days of having no luck even finding a great white, and there were some very bright metallic miniature cages in a small boat being towed by the larger boat in Australia. And one of the sharks, being attracted by the lure of this silver, came out of the water and bit the cage in the boat and took the cage out of the boat. And the guy suddenly was no longer there. The midget was gone. They couldn't find him. He had locked himself into the head of the ship and wouldn't come out. And Valerie had to take a butter knife and unlock the door and make him aware that he was being paid $10,000 to perform That's Incredible.
Are you saying that the shark reached up into the boat and took
It was
the
very
cage,
easy.
or a cage that was being dragged?
It was a cage that was being dragged that the shark got hold of and tore to pieces.
Yeah.
The cage that he was going to go in.
My image is that sharks get up into the boat that I'm in and start after me. I've had that.
Yeah, that's
the best thing to do
nightmare.
when you see a shark, if you're in the water, is the first rule is to get into the center of a large city. That's my advice.
Well, Jaws 3 is about a land shark. It's about it's about a shark who is killed in Jaws 2, becomes a ghost, and haunts the city.
One of the dread land sharks. I thought they were all agents. Oh, but seriously, folks.
Seriously, folks.